Hi guys, I'm James from Winter Insight, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Andrew Musgrave, who is our #1 cross-country British ski athlete. Hi Andrew.
Hello, thank you for having me. Nice to be joining you.
Thank you for joining us, buddy. It's really great of you to join us today and catch up with us in the middle of this crazy winter. What have you been up to? Give us a program of what you've been up to in the last few weeks.
We in the cross-country world have actually been pretty lucky. Our World Cup tour has gone ahead pretty much as planned. So from the start of the season, I've been doing almost exactly what I thought I was going to be doing, which is racing most weekends. We had one race cancelled in December. Apart from that, I've been up to what I'm normally up to, which is just traveling around on the World Cup circuit, traveling from race to race. So I was racing the Tour de Ski last week, and now I'm back home in my base in Trondheim for a couple of weeks of training for the next races.
Brilliant. Okay, and we caught up briefly before, and I know the last few races maybe didn't go quite as planned. But how's the season gone in general?
Start of the season was super good. It was by far and away my best ever season start. At Christmas, I was actually in third in the distance overall World Cup, which was very good. Post Christmas, shape's not been quite as good as I hoped. Tour de Ski didn't go quite as I was planning, so I pulled out a little bit early to head home, do a bit more volume training at home and get ready for next races and our main focus of the season, which is the World Championships in February.
Brilliant. Okay, and have you got a race coming up really soon? Ready for that? Have you warm-up races for the World Champs?
Yeah, I've got two more World Cup races before the World Champs. So I'm racing next week in Finland, and then the week after that in Sweden, and then I got 4 weeks to do a solid training block to get ready for the World Champs.
Okay, brilliant. We'll look forward to watching you and see how you get on there. So that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it myself. A little bit nervous, but hopefully, it's been my best season start ever. So I think hopefully it should be my best World Champs ever as well.
Brilliant. Okay, you mentioned the word nervous there, which is interesting because you've been doing this all professionally sometime between 2010 and 14. So for at least the last 6 years. So you still get those nerves when you go into races, and do you try and use that to your advantage?
Yeah, definitely. I probably don't get so nervous for a normal World Cup as I used to, but now for the big ones, like the major championships, definitely still get nervous.
Do you still feel like a little
I
kid
think
at
that's
Christmas almost?
Yeah, oh, it's like I don't know how you compare it. It's a horrible feeling, but it's a horrible nervous in a good way. Because I always race at my best when I'm super nervous, and then if you go in super nervous and you get a good result, then the feeling of relief and happiness that you get is pretty nice.
Yeah, it's a bit more euphoric, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's amazing. That's brilliant. And so you said you're based in Trondheim in Norway. So how's that as a base to live in?
It's absolutely amazing. The reason I moved to Norway is because Norway is by far and away the best cross-country skiing nation in the world. There's a ridiculous number of people to train with here. There's good conditions, and it's definitely one of the best places in the world to train for skiing. About half the Norwegian national team live here, so there's definitely no lack of world-class people to train with. And it's good for summer training and very good for winter training. So
That's amazing. How long have you been there for now?
I have been here since 2012.
Okay.
I've been in Norway since 2010 as a junior. Last year, junior, I came to Norway. So I was finished with secondary school in the UK. I was actually planning on studying in the UK after I was finished with secondary school, but I just went and did 1 year where I was just going to do a bit of racing before I got a proper life and started studying and being sensible. But then I ended up racing quite fast that year and decided pieing off uni and going to Norway to become a skier was a better idea. and
Well, I mean,
I've
I
been
can't disagree with
continuing
what. Can't disagree with that kind of approach, I suppose, being a ski fan. But yeah, but you still study, right? This is the important thing: is you're not in Norway just giving up the whole academic side and just following the ski dream. You are still studying as well. So
Yeah, I am still studying very slowly. I started studying when I moved to Trondheim in 2012, because there's a really good science and technology university here, and they're also very good at being nice to elite athletes. So they have let me study very slowly and progress very slowly. They've got like a modular system, and normally you take 4 modules per semester, and they kind of let me take as many modules as I want per semester, and they're super good at like letting me hand in coursework after races and stuff like that. So yeah, I've been in Toronto for 8 years, and I'm done with about 3 years of uni.
okay, wow, okay. And how do you fit that in around your training and race schedule then? Just as best you can, or?
Just as best I can. Yeah, I do. I have, to be honest, I'm barely ever at uni. I just go in for anything mandatory, and the rest I'm just at home, and ends up me being attempting to learn things from a textbook and shouting lots and getting really annoyed. But it usually works out in the end. And one of the advantages for me actually with COVID is a lot of the uni teaching and stuff has been put online, which makes it way easier for me when I'm traveling. So there's actually been a little bit of an advantage for me on that side of things.
Okay, yeah, no, that's useful. I can imagine that if you're traveling a lot, the more stuff that you can do online, the easier it is for you, right? So
Yeah, definitely.
that's perfect. So, but let's talk a little bit about cross-country skiing, because it's not the most participated ski sport in the world. I know it's big in Norway and the Nordic countries, but certainly in the UK, it's not a big sport. How did you get into it?
Yeah, it's definitely not the biggest sport in the UK, but there are actually a surprising number of people that do it. Like if I'm away skiing, there'll always be some Brits out cross country skiing, and I'm always surprised about the number I see when I'm away abroad out training. But yeah, so I got into proper racing through the local ski club in Scotland, where I come from, Huntly Nordic Ski Club, and it was through the club there that I actually got into like proper racing. I did cheat a little bit and learned to ski when I was in Alaska, because I lived there for 6 years because of my
Wow.
dad's job in the oil industry. So lived there until I was 11 years old. So I kind of learned to ski, but I didn't have, as an 11-year-old, I didn't have any plans of becoming a professional cross-country skier or anything like that. But it was actually through the club in Scotland that I sort of started taking things seriously.
Okay. And how old were you then when that really kind of started taking off for you?
Guess there was kind of like a group of us that got gradually more and more into training. So I joined the club as soon as we moved to Huntly, and like there was a group of guys the same age that I got to know then, and we just kind of progressively got more and more into it. So I reckon from the age of about 15, 16, then we were training actually fairly seriously.
Yeah.
So yeah, somewhere around 15, 16. And it's just kind of progressed every year since then, done more and more, and got a little bit better each year.
Brilliant. And yeah, it's taken it from there, I suppose. Any of the guys that you trained or raced with in your early days, did they take it any further?
Yeah. So there were 3 of us from Huntly Ski Club at the Pyeongchang Olympics, which was not a bad effort. And there's one of the guys retired after the Olympics, but there's 2 of us still going, me and Andrew Young, and both of us have podiums from World Cup level at which is better than most Norwegian clubs have. So the Norwegians are always like dead impressed how this little ski club from Scotland can be better than a lot of the big clubs in Norway.
That's amazing. I mean, first of all, it's incredible that you guys all kind of come from that same place, which also shows that there's not that many places in the UK that you can come from, right?
Yeah.
But it's incredible that you've kind of all made it to that level. And as you say, compared to some of the other countries like Norway, where the funding is much, much bigger. On that point, how do you fund yourself, right? The GB Snow Sports is not the greatest fund tank because we don't have many mountains. It's not our biggest national sport, etc. So how have you coped over the years?
I've been very lucky. So the first proper support I got was from the IOC, and they have this thing called Olympic Solidarity, which is where they fund like sports that are small and developing in various countries. So like cross country skiing was not exactly a mainstream sport in the UK, so they provide support for that, which was super lucky and gave me a boost. And then I started getting good results, and then I got funded through Sport Scotland after that for a few years, and then since 2017 I've been funded by UK Sport,
Okay.
which is super good. And then I've got some sponsors and stuff on top of that, which means I can live as a pro skier, which is living the dream.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, one of the elements of Winter Insight is we like to interact with the consumer and trade side of it. You mentioned you have some trade sponsors. We always like to give a shout out to any brands that support athletes. So if you want to give us a little highlight on who those are.
Yeah, so on skis, I'm on Salomon, and they're awesome. Like I started skiing with Salomon when they were kind of new on the cross country side of things, and like I feel like I've been part of the development of the skis, and now we're one of the main brands on the cross country race side of things. And they've been amazing, supporting me the whole way since I've been a junior. So I'm pretty glad about the choice of what skis to ski on when I was a junior.
Brilliant.
And then poles, I use Swix poles, definitely the top brand for poles in cross country. I think they're just better than everything else. And then I've got a eyewear sponsor called Blizz Eyewear, and
Okay.
they're really big. They're fairly big in alpine, and really, really big in cross country.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, we'll tag the homepages of those brands below if anyone wants to check out more about the stuff that you use and everything else. So yeah, that's great. We love when the kind of big companies come in and support the athletes because ultimately, without you guys, you're not elevating their brand and products as well, right? So
so it's hopefully there's a win-win situation. They sort me out, give me best equipment, and hopefully it's good PR for them and helps their sales by sponsoring us athletes.
Yeah, I mean, like anything, I suppose the better you perform personally, the better it is for them, and vice versa. So
yeah, definitely.
Perfect. It's the harsh realities of being a pro athlete, right?
Yeah.
In that sense. Perfect. So obviously there's cross country skiing, big part of your life and your career. But that's not all skiing is to most people and also to you, right? So what do you do outside of cross country when you can?
So like mostly through the winter, we've got to do such a big volume of training that like it's all about being in the gym or being just out skiing, getting the hours in, or doing specific cross country training. But like as soon as the season's done, I swap my skinny skis and get some fatter ones, and I head out ski touring and spend as much time as I can ski touring. And like here in Trondheim, it's pretty awesome. It's less than 2 hours drive to some of the best ski touring terrain in the world, so I'm fairly spoilt on that side of things.
That sounds amazing. And so when do you get to do that? When does the season really wrapped up? Is it after the World Champs?
We've got a bit more World Cup racing post World Champs. It's usually towards the end of March.
Yeah.
And then in Norway, you can get good ski touring until mid-June. So like I get a few solid months where I can get plenty of days in the mountains, which is nice.
That sounds amazing. I think you might be getting a few requests for people to come out and ski tour with you when they can start flying again. So that sounds great. And then obviously summer. What do you do in the summer then?
Strangely enough, the summer is actually where we do the bulk of our physical training, because with cross-country skiing being like an endurance sport, it's just basically about the volume of training you can do, and the more you can do, the better. And it's kind of find a balance of what you can cope with without getting too wrecked. And yeah, so the summer is where we do the bulk of our training, because in the winter we're traveling race to race every weekend. And you'll see what usually happens is that you start off at a high level, and the more racing you do, your form tends to drop slightly as you go on, because you're not getting the volume in you need of training. And then, so then we'll have a few blocks of training during the winter where we build the form back up again. So like now I've been racing pretty much solid since the start of November. I've got a couple weeks at home now to do a wee training block, a couple more races, and then I'm going to have 4-week solid block before the World Champs to prime the form, make sure I'm in top shape there. But like even with a 4-week block before the World Champs, that wouldn't be enough to become world champion if I hadn't done solid amount of training through the summer and just done a massive volume through the summer. So
wow, so the summer really is important then for you guys.
Yeah, the summer is ridiculously important. So so either I'm out training or I'm lying in bed knackered through the whole summer.
You wouldn't think that, right? I think a lot of people would think, you kind of build up to the winter, get your fitness levels back up, and then have a few weeks off in the summer, almost like, maybe footballers do or that kind of thing. But what I know from what you guys do and kind of endurance athletes in general is that you guys never take your foot off the gas, really, right?
Yeah, so we kind of tend to have a few, like 3 to 4 weeks off post race season, but then we try and like not just lie on the sofa for 4 weeks and not do anything at all. We'll do like other physical activities. So for me, I absolutely love ski touring. So like it's a mental break, and if I go ski touring, I'll be getting some like good, easy, like hike type stuff in the mountains without like pushing that high level race speed type stuff. So it ends up being a bit of that's my time off when I'm in the mountains.
Yeah, I guess if you're not pushing yourself to like race speed, you can enjoy it, right?
Yeah. It's a wee bit different than you don't get so much time to take in we go to like all these nice places in the winter. We're in Switzerland, we're in Germany, Austria, but you don't like get time if you're racing, you don't like get time to make the most of being out there, because you're like fully focused on the race and everything that's going on. If you're in the race, then it's really painful. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I can imagine your leisurely ski touring pace though is faster than most out there full out anyway. So I'm not coming ski touring with you and trying to keep up. Brilliant. Well, look, a few more little questions for you, and then we'll let you go, Andrew, and carry on with your intensive training program. But obviously, this winter is like no other in the sense of the COVID impact. And you guys at the cross country seem to have done a pretty good job in mitigating that, and there hasn't been many cancellations. A few teams and organizations have missed a few races, but I don't think you've missed anything. So how's the kind of cross country world coped with that, and why have they done so well?
Yeah, we've been super lucky. Like we've had one race cancelled, and then a few teams have dropped out of various different events. But in general, everything has gone almost to plan. They've got like stringent test protocols at all the races, pre go into the races and while we're at the races. So I think it's a lot just down to the teams have been super, super cautious and have been following the rules really strictly, and a good test protocol by FIS Cross Country, who's the international federation.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so we've done a ridiculous amount of tests. I've had a ton of things up my nose, and we've been very lucky. And like I know, like ski jumping, they've got similar sort of protocols as us, but there's been a lot more cases of COVID within ski jumping. So I think it's probably a little bit down to luck, but also the teams being sticking super strictly to the rules and keeping themselves. Endurance athletes are always nerds anyway, and we're like dead worried about getting ill, so we stay away from everyone. And if someone coughs within like a 5-mile radius of us, we'll like run away. So I think we were always going to do quite well on this, but I guess
even a seasonal flu for you in the middle of the season is a nightmare, right?
like a flu or even just a cold.
Yeah.
Like you can go from being in the best form of your life and being able to win a World Cup to not being able to get World Cup points just if you get a week cold.
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
getting ill can absolutely wreck you. And like if you then can't train properly for 2 weeks when you're meant to be doing a training block, then that can wreck like a large part of your season. So staying healthy is super important for us.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense, right? And I
Yeah.
suppose you guys, don't get mixed up with too many people because your schedule seems so tight, and it's you're
Yeah.
always doing something, right?
But at the same time, we do then have more travel, like going through airports, planes, stuff like that. So we've definitely had to be extra cautious with all our travel plans this year.
And how have you found the airports? Because there'll be a lot of people that maybe even watch this, or just generally that around that have flown a lot previously and maybe haven't flown at all for the best part of a year. So how have you found the airport experience in the
It's
last?
been a little bit bizarre because they've just been deserted, like a lot of them, like flying through Munich or Oslo has been bizarre just because or especially in the international areas that there's just barely anyone there and like all the shops are closed, and so it's been a bit surreal.
Yeah.
But then like there have been like coming back into Norway, for example, massive queues at passport control because it's such strict controls for getting into the country. So it's been a bit of a stress on that side of things.
Okay.
And then it ends up like being massive lines and tons of people waiting. And then when there's like massive queues like that, I just feel a bit uncomfortable because I'm not used to being around so many people, and I've got double masks on to stop myself getting infected, but I still feel like dead out, or I dead uncomfortable in the situation.
Yeah, I guess that's the scenario we're in right now, is when you're at your level and you know that you can't catch this certain thing and you're all of a sudden surrounded by loads of people, you're going to naturally feel a little bit on edge, right? So
Yeah.
Definitely. Brilliant. So look, we thank you so much for your time today. We're just going to sort of wrap this up a little bit now and let you get on with your day. But really important for me is there will maybe be kids watching this, or in the future they might watch this, or they've seen you competing or watching. What would your advice be to anyone that wants to get into cross-country skiing, and where can they do it?
There are actually a surprising number of cross-country ski clubs in the UK. There's like a London roller ski club, and there's several in Scotland. So like have a look, and there's quite likely a ski club within your sort of area. And cross country, we've got this thing called roller skiing, which is like these little short skis that have wheels on them that you can use on the roads. And like they replicate cross country skiing like ridiculously well, and you can do super good training on those. And so yeah, try and like research doing a little bit of roller skiing, because the UK is great for getting involved in roller skiing, and that's the perfect transition to skiing on snow. So
Yeah, perfect. I think I said to you I'd been invited to do it in Hyde Park with Fern once. Fern Cates, who's a female British cross-country athlete, and so I know that goes on. And actually, if anyone used to roller skate as a kid, when you try these cross-country roller blades, they're actually a lot more stable and a lot easier to use than kind of inline skates as well. So, and you get poles to stabilize yourself, right?
Yeah, you go twice as fast when you can use your arms as well.
Brilliant. So yeah, we'll make sure people Google that and see if they can find somewhere local and start getting out and giving it a go once restrictions are lifted, of course.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, look, Andrew, thank you so much for your time today. We really wish you the best for the rest of the season, and we'll be watching you closely. And hopefully we can catch up with you at the end of the season, see how the World Champs went, and get in touch with you just before you start your crazy summer training program.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much for having me. And we'll catch up again after the World Champs.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Andrew. Have a great day.
Thanks.
See you soon. All the best.
Bye.